Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aguilar Yanis, and I'm the ecosystem manager for acceleration here at CV Labs, and I'm your host today. So we're welcoming you here out of Zug, Switzerland, in the heart of the crypto valley. And as you know, today's session is about our accelerator with an AMA to tell you more about what's going to happen and the question for us. So let's get started. To begin with, I would like to give you a quick introduction to today's session. So we will have a look at the agenda and we will see what else is going to happen today. Right. So now we will start with a brief introduction from our end, from CVC and CV Labs. We'll walk you through the entire process of acceleration. Afterwards, we have the joy to introduce two new partners, one being Chainlink, who is represented with Kate, who will join us remotely. And the second one is Protocol Labs, where we have the joy to welcome Ruben here today, here in Zug. After that, we will have a quick introduction with our four startups that are also joining the session. And then for the final half hour, we will have an open Q&A/AMA session to answer your questions. All right. So most of you are probably familiar with CVC and CV Labs, but for those who are not, I will just quickly summarize it. So CVC stands for Crypto Valley Venture Capital, and as the name already says, it's an early stage VC focused on Web3 projects. So we exist since 2016. And since the inception of our fund, we did 51 investments up to date, whereas 32 came through our accelerator. Maybe Bastian, by the way, this is Bastian, our colleague from the investment team, who is mainly in charge for our screening process. So maybe you can tell us a bit what it takes to go through the stages of screening to become a successful application.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Janis. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Also, warm welcome from my side. So I look after the acceleration program from the investment side of things. And so to give you a bit of a background on how it works when you want to apply for our acceleration program, so you'll find all the information on cvlabs.com/accelerator, or you can also scan the QR code later on that you see here on stage as well. And so the way it works is you'll find an application link on the website, you apply on F6S, fill out some questions, upload some documents. Then the investment team will take some time to review thoroughly your application. Afterwards, we're going to ask you to send us a pre-recorded video of your pitch. And after that, the investment team will schedule calls in order to better understand not only your product or project, but also your team. And upon positive decision of the investment team, we will forward you to the investment committee, who will then decide whether your application for the next batch, by the way, which is starting on the 27th of March, is successful or not. I'm also going to be around afterwards for the Q&A session if you have any other questions around screening process, funding, or selection criteria.
All right, thank you very much, Bastian. So, as you know, we have, apart from the CVC, from our venture arm, we have a second brand called CV Labs. And CV Labs began as a flourishing ecosystem for our venture capital fund, mainly to foster startups and give our startups, let's say, a stage to speak, a place to be. But now we grew over the last 5 years and we became much more. So quickly summarized, we have a variety of services that we offer, starting with co-working spaces. So here in Zug, where we are right now, is our main hub. We have around 150 tenants all around Web3. We do events, for instance, our flagship event, the CV Summit, and also for our startups, we have a very big event called the Friends and Family Day. Furthermore, we provide education for Web2 companies, we do advisory, and of course, our accelerator. So this working model was built and grown in Zug here, and now over the last 4 years, we went international. So we have now hubs in Liechtenstein, Vaduz. We opened a hub in Cape Town, South Africa, and earlier this year, we opened a hub in Berlin, Germany. And also watch out for the next year because we have big plans coming in our international expansion. So let's have a look now at Accelerator. So the main reason why we're here. The goal is to provide our early stage investments through our ecosystem, a variety of services for them to accelerate their growth, of course, and get started properly. With this power of this network that we build through our ecosystem brand, we managed to build together a very strong network of Web3 firms, Web2 firms, and DOT-based leaders here in the Web3 space. So as you can see, we developed now a block structure. And of course, it's intended to be cheesy because, of course, we're in blockchain, right? So yeah, everything starts with a bootcamp, which is taking place usually here in our home turf in the Crypto Valley, where we fly the startups in, we connect them with our broad ecosystem, we have some introductory workshops. But then we know Web3 equals decentralized equals remote first, and that's why we go into a remote session, which is the main part of the accelerator. So the main part consists of two parts, which is block 1 and block 2. So block 1, we focus there on product development, legal questions, tech development. So this is, let's say, a month full of workshops where you will learn these processes from very proven companies. So this is in the form then of pre-recorded webinars or live workshops. The second block is equally structured, with the difference that we focus on PR, branding, UI, UX, and go-to-market strategy. Because we all know in the Web3 space, we have a lot of innovation, we have good technology, but sometimes the user adoption is missing. That's what we focus on. Lastly, we conclude this accelerator with a demo day, which is built up through a graduation week, where we finalize the pitch decks, we help with pitch structures, etc. And then we give you the big stage with hundreds of international investors to raise your next round. So when I talk about our partnership network, I gave you here a brief snapshot of who is part of it at the moment. So you also can see our latest representatives here, Protocol Labs and Chainlink Labs. And what we really try is to foster from this network to give you the start you deserve. So after this introduction now, I would like to introduce Kate, who is joining us, I think, from Lisbon, if I'm not mistaken. So Kate is from Chainlink Labs. And recently we sealed our partnership for our early stage accelerator. I'm very happy to welcome you now as our first official appearance together. And maybe to kick it off, you can tell us a bit more about yourself and about Chainlink Labs.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to everyone for having me. I'm so excited to be here today. So a little bit about Chainlink Labs. We're the leading provider of secure and reliable open source blockchain oracles in the ecosystem. Our decentralized middleware enables smart contracts to access any sorts of off-chain resources in a reliable, secure, and trust-minimized way. So all those off-chain resources can be any number of things, from data to storage or any sort of off-chain computation. We're currently securing about tens of billions of dollars across many different parts of the ecosystem, like DeFi, insurance, gaming, and even enterprise industries. And so it's very likely that your favorite dApp or you may already be using Chainlink data feeds, Chainlink automation, VRF, proof of reserves, or any of the products that we have been working on over these last years. And we work with thousands of projects, and our network continues to grow. I think in 2021, our total value secured through the Chainlink network surpassed $75 billion. It's also worth noting that we are blockchain agnostic and support over 700 Oracle networks. So that's a little bit about Chainlink and Chainlink Labs. I've been with the Chainlink team for 9 or 10 months now, originally working with our data providers, but now really focusing heavily on our partnerships program, which is why we're here with CV Labs today. And so excited to be part of the accelerator program and cohort going into 2023. We think it's incredibly important, and we're very excited to be one of the technical partners in this group.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kate, for introduction. And I also think you mentioned something important that I forgot to say. So as you are blockchain agnostic, so are we, because we believe also currently in a multi-chain ecosystem where there is different technologies emerging, and also important for the founders out there to know whatever you're building on, we're there to support you. So maybe let me ask you a small question regarding the last point you mentioned. So you said you're excited to working with us, which is of course a big honor for us. But why exactly did you, let's say, agree and continue these conversations with us? What is the motivation behind of you guys to work with us together in the accelerator?
That's a great question, Yannis. And believe us, the honor to be part of this cohort is really all ours. So in working with projects over these last years, we recognize that founding a blockchain or Web3 based business is incredibly difficult, and even more difficult right now. And so we've observed the successes that can be seen from projects getting the resources from CV Labs and from these accelerator programs, which bring together the best building blocks to formulate and to support a founding program and founding business, so that you and your project can focus on the things that make you different, the things that you want to really, really go to market with, and let your network help you with sort of the foundational resources and the bits that you need to get there. So we believe that there are ways to, I guess, decrease the barriers to entry. And this is one really, really great example. And that's why it's super important to get involved today to help our founders build the next gen of great Web3 applications.
All right, thank you very much. And so you mentioned that you, of course, are very excited to work with startups, but how do you think are you as an organization, or what is the best way how you can support startups? So is it more on a technical point, or do you give out grants? So what is the structure that you have to support startups?
Sure. I think there are multiple phases, like you touched on earlier, and multiple things that a startup will need to really flourish. One thing about the Chainlink technology is that through our feeds or verifiable randomness or Chainlink automation, just about any project will have a need for these Oracle solutions. So one of the greatest points where we're excited to get involved is through that technical support. And so we'll be providing technical support from sort of the awareness and foundations building, starting with master classes for the accelerator cohort, to focus on sort of the 101 of oracles, but also 201 and hands-on workshops that can help to brainstorm and come up with wireframes for you and your project to be able to build with Chainlink new use cases. So that's one area around technical expertise. We also have an amazing team of specialists across the industries and verticals that we work with that can provide hands-on mentorship, not only for how to implement and grow your project, but also from more of a go-to-market and commercial angle as well. So the Chainlink Labs leadership is really excited to serve as mentors for the cohort participants coming up. And then lastly, there's sort of this idea of what other types of tools and ongoing support do we want to provide to these classes after they've graduated from the program. So we're working really closely with them to have dedicated support from the Chainlink Labs team technically, and also for any project to be able to tap into our network as well.
Brilliant. So I think to the founders out there, this is super exciting. So, I mean, if you want to get mentored by Chainlink, or if you want to visit these master classes, make sure to apply for Accelerator, of course. Thank you, Kate. So if you have questions for Kate, you can already type them in the chat, and after we are in a Q&A session, then we can direct them to her. Thank you very much, Kate. So as a next guest, we have Ruben here from Protocol Labs. So I remember, Ruben, we have been in touch since almost a year, right?
Yeah, that's
and
correct.
We've been mingling, and now, of course, we finally made it happen and have officially now this partnership for our Accelerator.
Yeah.
So we're, of course, very excited about this. So Ruben, tell us maybe a bit first about yourself and about Protocol Labs. And I reckon you have a presentation, so let me quickly share a screen for you. One second. There we go. And there we go. All right, Ruben, stage is yours.
Excellent. So maybe before I begin, super excited to have Chainlink here as well, Kate. As you know, we are partnering across a number of things, research, we do hackathons together, I think a couple throughout the year. So yeah, great to seeing you here again. And also super excited to finally, for our partnership. This partnership came together because a gentleman on my team came to me again and again saying the alumni of the accelerator cohort from CV Labs don't stop raving about how amazing the accelerator cohort is. And he kept coming to me and said like, hey, you know, we need to get in contact with CV Labs. We got in contact, we spoke, and then it happened pretty fast, right? Like super excited, we are finally here. Okay, so let's get into Protocol Labs. Before I start, my name is Ruben. I'm in Yogbo. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I was early in Delivery Hero. I had my own startup. We created a startup that was sold to Turo, sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, and then the latest startup I co-founded was a pet insurance company, Pumpkin Not Care, which is still going strong at like 100 million with Pfizer as a lead investor. And now I'm in the Web3 space, fell into the rabbit hole sometime in 2019 and been with Protocol Labs ever since. Cool. So who's Protocol Labs? I suppose if I switch the slides here, the audience will see. Okay, excellent. All right. So when you think about Protocol Labs, I guess you should think about us as Web3 core, right? We are 99% engineers. We do build a lot of the networking and storage layer of Web3 as you know it today. Many of you will know IPFS, which is an extremely highly adopted protocol throughout the ecosystem, very old in crypto terms, so around prior to 2015. We're a classic kind of Silicon Valley play. We came through Y Combinator, A16Z, Grayscale, etc. are early investors. And as we kind of rolled out IPFS, we noticed that there's a lot of learning and a lot of kind of unfair advantage and knowledge that we have that is institutional to building protocols. So IPFS became Protocol Labs, and Protocol Labs then rolled out a number of other protocols, DRAND, libpeer2p, Filecoin, you might know, over these past couple of years. So while we are kind of this engineering and build organization, we also do a lot of work on the startup side. This is why we're here. So when we roll out these protocols, obviously we want to also foster adoption. And this we do a lot via hackathons, grants, and acceleration. And acceleration is why we're here today. The network over the last couple of years, as you can see here, has grown tremendously. We have a number of funds that we invest from. We do have a lot of acceleration activity, notably with Consensus, A16Z, our Longash Accelerator, OWV, Longash, etc. And now CV Labs. I think historically we had a really strong presence in Asia and the US. And we are now super excited to also come to Europe and foster a stronger presence with CV Labs as core to our strategy. Cool. I would like to focus this brief presentation on the later stages of the funnel, not hackathon and grants, so accelerator and investment, and just quickly tell you what we do here. So there are 4 brands that are kind of relevant to you out there. One is acceleration. Here we partner with the strongest partner that we can identify. We have partners in India, we have partners in Southeast Asia, Japan, a couple, and obviously the United States, East and West Coast. We have a platform called Soft Noise, which is basically a deal flow aggregation play, whereby when we do these accelerators, often these companies want to raise their rounds. And in order to help them raise rounds, we want to expose them to an international investor network. This is what we do via our Soft Noise platform. There's a Builders Fund. Actually, the Builders Fund is a number of funds now that we deploy from, mainly in early stage companies. And then there's Full VC. Full VC is a very interesting one. Full VC is kind of like a massive stage where we help companies that graduate from accelerators, let's say CV Labs Accelerator, and they make it to CV Labs Demo Day, and then maybe they need some additional help or they want to, get exposure in a different geography. We help them get on stage there and get exposure to our investor networks live and in person in these geographies. So this is what we do. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to me. Also leverage the AMA that we will have later today. And I think I'll wrap it up here and just hand it back to you, Jonas.
Yeah, thank you very much for this great introduction. And I mean, often people don't know actually how active Protocol Labs is in the space. I mean, you see a lot of accelerators, but people don't know what is happening also behind the scenes, and it's super exciting. And for me, it was also the more I got to know the Protocol Labs community. For instance, at the Lab Week recently in Lisbon, actually so excited about the things that are happening there. So very great stuff you're doing.
Thank you.
So yeah, let me ask you also one or two questions. So the first one is, I mean, you guys, you're so active in the space, of course, you see so many things. So what is it that you are very excited at the moment in Web3 space?
So what am I excited about? So firstly, I'm excited about Christmas holiday. It's been an absolutely crazy year. But in all honesty, I think I'm excited about two things. One is some of the mania leaving the space. I think it's been extremely hot. I think everybody who was in the investment space worked themselves ragged to get into deals. I think it's much more calm and much more sane right now to pursue investment activity. In this space, valuation have come way down. So that is one thing. I think a slightly calmer development and investment environment. Builders are refocusing on building instead of just running behind crazy valuations. I think number two specifically regards our ecosystem. So in our ecosystem, we are now rolling out, we have Protocol Labs, so we're rolling out protocols. And two things that I'm really excited about is FVM, and eFVM, which is the Falcon virtual machine, which is basically smart contracting capabilities for Falcon. So a lot of you will know Falcon as the largest decentralized storage network. We are by far, I think, 100x our largest competitor. What a lot of people don't know is that smart contracts are coming to Falcon. So think compute over data, think computing at the edges of the network. Extremely exciting. And then we're also building a decentralized CDN. So that's also happening. It's under the umbrella of Saturn. So if you're interested, find us on GitHub, find us on Slack, and reach out to the Saturn group. Asgard is the lead. I think this is going to be extremely exciting for those of you who don't have the capabilities to run your own storage center, but you still want to get involved in decentralized storage and content distribution.
Cool. Thank you for the insights. Sure. And as a second question, so, okay, we know now, or the people know now, okay, we're partnering up. Well, what does it exactly mean? So you will do a masterclass for us. Could you maybe give us some, let's say, just a sneak peek, what is going to happen, what you will talk to the startups about, and how you're going to run this?
Yeah. So we have been, as you said, we're behind a lot of acceleration. So we understand ourselves as kind of core Web3 builders, but we often kind of stay in the background. What we do is we have a very deep bench of mentors. And over the last couple of years, we have learned which mentors work in the sense that these mentors actually bring value to founders. I also remember what it's like to be a founder. You're always on a clock. You're always on time. You're always spending VC money, and you want to have good conversations. You want to have conversations that make sense. What are we going to do with CV Labs? What do we have planned? We're meeting on Monday, is we will have an IPFS one-on-one and two-on-one where we are going to lead builders in great detail through how to make best use of IPFS, distributed storage. And then we'll also have a Falcon one-on-one and two-on-one where you will learn what technologies, I'm just throwing out a couple of names like, DAG House, NFT.storage, Web3.storage, and Asteroid. You will get intimately familiar with those on how to build quickly, right? Interacting with Falcon, if you're new to it, can be daunting. If you know these technologies, and if we show you how to best leverage these, you will front run a lot of your competitors, and you'll deploy much more quickly on decentralized storage and more cheap.
Of course, that's time and money, right? That's what it takes. Thank you so much.
You do.
I think now let's get to the next part. So Bastian, you will introduce now, right, all of our startups that are joining the session. and maybe also tell a bit to the audience who they are, what they do, and why they're with us and for how long they are with us.
Absolutely. First of all, Ruben, Kate, thank you so much. I think it's exciting to see how the entire program is evolving over time. We've already had 4 batches, now the 5th batch is coming up. So it's exciting to hear what's going on within the acceleration program, but now also we want to, learn more the perspective from our startups. That's why we invited 4 of our portfolio startups, each from a single different batch. So we have startups from batch 1 to 4 with us. So the first startup that I would like to introduce is AdHash. So we have Martin with us from AdHash. So AdHash is a self-hosted advertising platform cutting out the middleman in marketing. And so they run through our first acceleration batch back in 2019,
Wow.
when you joined Protocol Labs. So that's quite exciting. We also did a following investment later on. Then the second startup is Vladimir from Blocksport. So they're providing the tech for the sports industry. They provide branded and exclusive mobile apps, NFT solutions, and also fan tokens. They went through our second batch of the acceleration program at the end of 2019. Then we also have Andy from House Africa. So it's also very exciting. I mean, Yanis, you mentioned we also opened up Cape Town, South Africa. So we're really strong on the African continent as well. So Andy, he's from Nigeria. Very exciting company, first blockchain-based land and property registry. So if you have any questions about the African ecosystem, feel free to also reach out to Andy. And then we have Pasquale from Gami. It's a Web3 streaming platform. So he did the 4th batch of the acceleration program that actually graduated this summer. So he's very up to date on what's going on right now in the acceleration program, now also with Protocol Labs and Chainlink. I think Gamis is a perfect example, right? So they're also close with Protocol Labs. They received the grant from Filecoin.
Oh, nice.
They were also in Lisbon on stage with Protocol Labs. So it's super interesting to see how all the portfolio companies are actually, within the ecosystem and they leverage on the ecosystem from CV Labs, CVVC. So maybe to kick off the Q&A session, I'll ask the first question. This goes to AdHash, to Martin. Now, Martin, you graduated in 2019. We heard a lot of stuff on how the program is, how it works, but now I think it would be exciting also to hear your perspective. So what is CVVC doing after the acceleration program, and how are you being assisted from us afterwards? So it would be great to hear your opinion, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, we were part of the first batch, so that was a very exciting time where we had no idea what the CV Labs program actually would be. And we basically made the decision based on the fact that it was either probably going to be very good because everybody would be putting their absolute best and all of their energy into this, or maybe it will be a disaster. And unfortunately for us, it turned out to be the former. So we had a great time while we were in Zug, met 11 other companies that were part of the first batch, and we stay in touch with some of them to this day and follow their progress. And ever since the program ended, I would say, even though we weren't at an idea stage, we had already built quite a bit of technology by the time we joined. The few months following the program were focused a lot on polishing what we had, not so much from the product perspective, but also from making sure that we present correctly, taking advantage of everything we've learned during the program, how we speak in front of people, how we present the idea, whom we present the idea to, and all of that. And only after that, we felt ready to actually continue our growth and our expansion. And since then, we have raised funding. We have onboarded hundreds of clients. We have improved the product and technology tremendously. It's been 3 years now, and throughout all of those stages, CVVC has been instrumental, not just in terms of introducing us to potential investors, but also helping us position ourselves correctly, inviting us to events, getting the word out on what we're building, and introducing us to potential partners. So, it's obvious when you have an investor that you would hope that they will introduce you to more investors. I think that's what is on everybody's mind. But I really want to emphasize that all the other work and all the other support we have received, and not just from those people whom we spent those few months in person in Zug back in 2019, but the VC team has grown. There are a lot of new faces, and even with them, we feel like we've known them for a while, and we're on the same team, and we're working together. So that to me has been very, really invaluable.
Maybe also a quick disclaimer, because Martin just said a few months in Zug. So our acceleration program developed in terms of structure for the last 3 years, like enormously. So from starting with batch 1, Martin, and I think batch 2 also with Luca, everything was in person here in Switzerland, and then COVID hit, and then everything was virtual, like batch 3 with Andy. And now we're back to something in between, a hybrid one. So just for you to understand when you hear 3 months in Zug. So yeah, we developed, let's say, like this.
Yeah, exactly. Now, speaking of Andy, I would like actually to ask Andy also to get his perspective. I mean, Andy, you're at your side of Nigeria. You decided to go through a Swiss acceleration program. I think that's like a big step. Maybe it would be great to get your perspective on like, why did you decide to apply for a Swiss acceleration program? Obviously, we're also about to set up our African ecosystem. Maybe you can give us your perspective on like, what is actually good for you to have a Swiss VC investing in you, and how do you also profit from our ecosystem on the African continent?
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, guys. So for us, it was interesting. In Africa, you would find a lot of guys building stuff, lot of talent, and one of the things that is missing, like a missing link, or probably with funding, to promote some of the things that we are building. And from the start, we really had wanted to build a global company, right? Even though we are African focused, we wanted to position ourselves in a way that we can, attract investment, get exposed to companies around the world. And when we looked through, we saw CVC as the right partner for obvious reasons. I mean, we looked at the companies that have been through the program before now. And of course, the team, the lineup for the team that instructors, some of the mentors that we eventually got to meet, all of that put together help us make that decision. And of course, we've been happy that we made that decision, right? And even after the program, we got a lot of persons contribute to the growth that we currently have. We've been able to raise, and of course, we believe that passing through the program contributed to that fundraising. And a good job for the African team. I think we're always in their mouth whenever they're talking about, startup in Africa, building on blockchain Web3 solutions. And that's a good thing for us. Gideon, which is the African CVC manager, was on a TV program sometimes ago, and he talked about us, and which was quite interesting. So these are some of the benefits that we eventually got. So that exposure for us is very important. The mentorship, the funding that we eventually raised, it helped us to grow, essentially. So that's, it's a positive one. We've not regretted, joining the program in it.
Thank you so much, Andy. So actually, we got a question from the chat, and it's directed to Kate. So the person is asking, do you have any agriculture-based startups on Chainlink? And I think it's like a good question. Like, Chainlink is very agnostic, and it's maybe you can get your perspective on like which industries, which sectors can you be in and still use Chainlink? Maybe if you can give your answer here.
Sure, I'd be happy to answer that question. So one of the first immediate use cases that comes to mind for agriculture would be parametric crop insurance. So there are a couple of case studies where we've seen this implemented. So for some farmers and for some insurance companies, one of the big challenges is how to in a very efficient way, sort of issue insurance payouts based off of inclement weather to crop farmers. And one amazing way that you can do this is through blockchain technology, where given certain weather conditions that are passed on chain, we can understand whether a season has been too hot, too rainy, whether a certain area has flooded, and pay out those insurance claims via blockchain protocols and dApps, instead of the traditional insurance method, which is quite timely. It can also be a cost constraint for certain industries and certain farmers. And yeah, this is one of the really great case studies that I really love. And the role that Chainlink plays here is through providing the decentralized Oracle network and the Oracle network for data providers, weather data providers, to pass data about weather conditions onto chain for the smart contracts to read and settle claims.
All right, thank you so much, Kate, for this answer. I think this makes a lot of sense, and there's so much data out there that needs to be linked on chain and also between different protocols. So thanks for your answer here. Then maybe another question for Blacksport, for Vladimir. I mean, now you also did your acceleration program back in 2019. Obviously, a lot has happened in the meantime. Now, my question would be, and this is also what I get asked a lot by founders. So when you start your journey, so why did you decide to actually undergo an acceleration program? Because there's obviously the possibility of getting grants, there's the possibility angel investors, but also funding directly. So why did you decide to undergo an acceleration program?
Okay, thank you, everyone. Hope you can hear me well. I think that first of all, I was happy. One of the happiest participants of batch 2, actually, the last physical one before COVID came, and I'm sure 100% that physical presence and 3 months in living in Switzerland next to other bodies, it's an amazing experience. So now actually I would love that next batches should have more physical than online. But first of all, the second, so for us in Blocksport, so we started working on our first product in 2019, early 2019. So we came to the conclusion that we would like to go through acceleration, incubation, where we already have some kind of MVP, and we start thinking about the first strategic investor. And my co-founder, he's from Zurich, German guy. So I'm Ukrainian. So actually, I was visiting in a crypto valley in 2016, and I was so impressed by ecosystem and blockchain ecosystem of smart people, new projects, events, everything what was organized by Crypto Valley, by CVC, Trust Square guys. So actually, I was integrated like month by month into this ecosystem, and for me, it was in the end of the day obvious that I would like to stay there. Of course, we had chance to go other like Malta, Estonia, all these places, kind of made some PR, being crypto island, crypto country, etc. But look at the Switzerland, yeah, where's the Ethereum Foundation, where other cool things happen, but where the majority of ICO, good ICO happened in 2016, 2017. So kind of combination of all these factors that we decided also to go to the strong guys with to have credibility towards future investors, and we are looking for first investment next to the angel investment we had. We decided to try to apply, and from the first steps, how CVBC and CV Lab teams made the selection, interviewing through the 2 or 3 stages. It was so professional, yeah, and I was impressed that these guys really know what they're doing. I had experience. I had some feedback from batch 1. I had one Ukrainian guy from the first batch, who was building this hardware Rostislav Futalo, building the hardware wallet for cold wallet. So I collect experience, some experience feedbacks, like some rumors, and talk to CVC team, and I made my decision. Yeah, I want to go there. And for me, it was a super right decision. I was extremely happy of professionalism of the team. Almost all mentors who help us to during the acceleration, this 3 months. Most of them actually brought significant value, and demo days, we had a chance to pitch in Davos. It was a unique opportunity. I'm not sure when next time it will be for the next batch, but we actually pitched in Davos, 2 demo days, incredible teams, incredible buddies next to us, helping with product fit, super useful advising on the not pivoting but adjusting the business model, marketing, training me as a doc to pitch on the stage, and all together it was so cool, and I so appreciate you guys, and we continue to receive your help, which is very important that you're not forgetting. CVC, Lucas, Olaf, Matthias, Nico, so everyone supporting alumni on the way. So with the intros, with other valuable advisors, so we know like all the time that I can call guys, send them a message, and I will be actually heard. Yeah, that's my experience. I try to be short and crispy. Yeah, from the same time. The Q&A like bam, 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 and I'm happy to be only Ukrainian. Yeah, from still like 5 batches. Yeah. And I'm only one who actually successfully accelerated, got investment, and still alive. Yeah, and I on a pre-series A round. So that's made me really proud. Yeah.
So yeah, of course, I think the demo day at the World Economic Forum in Davos, that was really
superior. Remember
for batch 5.
Club. Yeah.
For batch 5, we have something special planned as well. So
wow, guys, you're lucky. You're lucky. Yeah. I will join to support you. Hopefully same nightclub on the main street.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vladimir. And also for everyone else in the call. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A chat to also post your questions either directly to any of our portfolio companies or to us or to our new partners. Just use the chat meanwhile. Now, we also have another portfolio company from our latest batch, Pasquale. I guess your memory is still all fresh of what the program is since you just created it last summer. So it would be great to get your insights on how did you experience the program itself, especially the different parts. You know, Yanis mentioned we have our bootcamp here the first week, then we have 2 parts more, the first part being product legal and the second part more on marketing, go-to-market, and then in the end we have the demo day. So what are your insights into the program and where did you profit most out of it?
Yeah, I think in 2021, we saw a crazy hype around crypto, and we saw many projects going viral up without any reason. And then in 2022, especially the last part, we saw that investors and people in the space became aware that before being a good crypto project, you should be first a good and sustainable business. So first a good company, a good startup, and then a good crypto project. And I was working already before joining the program in the Web3 for 3 years. And I also launched a crypto project that did pretty well. Pagamis was my first experience as a startup founder then. And I think this is how, I got most of the benefit. And this is how CV Labs came and helped my journey as a founder through the workshops and working with the team. It gave me the right advices and the right direction that I needed at the time as a first-time startup founder. And I'm talking of how to run a business, including legal, sales, marketing, and even finance. And then I think it helped me to build the first iteration of my startup that, of course, needs to be iterated further. But that was, the main thing. And I think so right now, after the program, my startup but also my founder persona are very different.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now we have some more questions directly in the chat. The first one I would like to address directly. So can you please remind us the deadline for the batch 5 application? So the deadline for the application for batch 5 is going to be end of the year. So hurry up. I know it's Christmas time, but get your things ready. Just apply on F6S. And then afterwards, obviously, it's going to take a bit longer, but just fill it F6S. And then we'll review your application. And then also, could you share the link for the acceleration program? If you zoom out a bit on the call, there actually we have the banner with the QR code that you can easily scan, and this will lead you directly to the website. So the website is cvlabs.com/acceleration. And then another question would be, to all startups, how did the mentors help you during or after the program? So any of our 4 portfolio companies, feel free to take this question on how did the mentors help you during or after the program?
Oh, okay, I can just say thing or two about that.
Sure.
So yeah, so for us, I noticed something very interesting, that the mentors weren't just guys around, right? There were people who are either building things, have built things in the past, or are strongly connected in the ecosystem, particularly in Africa. A couple of the guys that we meet, I mean, we still have contact up to this moment. They were able to see through what we're building, some of the questions that we asked. They all understood them, and then it was easy for them to prefer some sort of solution. I mean, some of them were not the ones that could solve the problem. I mean, probably they're building from different verticals, compared to the ones we're building, but they were helpful, generally speaking. And of course, some of these guys, because they have networks, they could connect you particularly to people that could, answer your questions or could help you with the contacts, things like that. So we had a couple of those as well. Those were the values for us that we really got from the mentors. And because I think from CV Labs side, they were carefully selected. These are the guys who understand things about the Web3 space, things about building businesses, things about raising funds, right? Those sort of things, and then they could speak to it, and it makes sense.
Thank you so much, Andy. So let's see, there's a couple of more questions in the chat.
There's one more question from Akim. So if I'm a founder interested in applying, can I come a day to visit the lab in Zug? Sure, of course, always happy to come by. We also have a lot of events that we host here. So if you go on Twitter or LinkedIn, you'll see all the events that we're hosting. So almost every week there is an event. For instance, last Monday, we invited the London Business School here, had done some different presentations and talks. So always happy to host you here, come by, talk to us. I think we're quite open. So just check it out. There's much going on. And then also in fall, there's always the CV Summit, one of the largest conferences that we host here. We're at the World Economic Forum in January. By the way, this is also something where we give our portfolio companies the stage to present themselves, talk to investors, talk to partners, talk to clients, etc., etc. And I think that's also like why actually our ecosystem under the brand CV Labs is quite strong, because we always try to communicate with the community, be there and connect with many people as we can. So yeah, sure, very happy. Just come by and talk to us.
And also, yeah, go ahead. And also, this is for all locations and not just in Zug. So we also are by design a co-working space. So we have public spaces, for instance, here a crypto cafe on the first floor, some co-working spaces. So if you're interested to come by, sure, come ahead, and we're happy to have a chat. And just FYI, in the winter, I think it's Christmas time, it's a bit emptier here because, of course, everybody, yeah, you see it's dark already, it's not even 5, so it's not the biggest motivation, right, to go out and be extrovert, but still, for other locations, Africa, Berlin, etc., feel free to reach out to the local hubs and come by.
Amazing. While we're talking about the World Economic Forum, we're also going to be there. We're going to have the church I think the Near Foundation is also around Polkadot.
Yeah.
So if you are a builder and you want to build through winter, yeah, absolutely come to the World Economic Forum, swing by, have a look, visit the church, visit Near, visit us, Protocol Labs, and visit CV Labs. I think it's going to be pretty exciting. There's a lot of stuff that is revealed around Davos as well. And a lot of freebies, a lot of free ledger devices. So yeah, come around.
So you try to bribe them now, right? No, but you got a cool location there with the sanctuary. It's very nice.
It's cool, huh?
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, someone is also asking for contact details. So Yanis and I, we're going to share our contact details with everyone that has signed up for this AMA session. So yeah, you can reach out to us if you have any follow-up questions. Very happy to do that afterwards as well.
And regarding, I think Ruben can share your Twitter maybe, right? So
yes, xxi.eth, ENS address, or just email me at ruben@protocol.ai.
Great. Yeah, any more questions in the chat? If not, maybe we can also come up with some questions. Oh yeah. So Mia asks, I would like to offer my mentoring skills. So if you want to become a mentor, reach out to us. So especially to me. Tell me a bit about what your strengths are, how you think you can support startups. Then we can have a chat and see if you are a good fit to support our startups. Right.
Then another question is it necessary to have in-house tech resources? So obviously, I mean, in the Web3 space, the funny thing is like there's so much open source, right? So obviously you can use libraries that are open source. When it comes to the evaluation, obviously, of a company from the investment side of things, we actually do value if there is business people and tech people. So it is always great to have tech people within the companies, especially within the founders. But obviously we see it with a lot of companies. We also work together with dev shops. I mean, there is some outsourcing that obviously can happen, but it's always good, to have tech people also in-house to actually develop your product and also to get in a better understanding what your product is, and also then to build it out, finding the right people. So we do value if there's like both business and tech people within the company. But as I said, there's a lot also open source.
And maybe to add to that, like an observation I had over these last couple of years and months is that within crypto, I think, at this early kind of cusp, we still have a strong bias towards extremely technical teams. So if anything, we are seeing, at least on the Protocol Labs side, a really large amount of teams that only have technical people, right? Without somebody who has strong product experience or strong design experience or strong business and leadership experience. So if you are an anonymous user, Zoom user one, if you are, a strong business mind, you maybe have, started something before, but you don't have the technical chops, I would strongly encourage you to actually engage in the relevant communities. I think Discord is always a good start, but I think you should invest the time to get familiar with GitHub. And then you have a really good chance to find really, really strong technical co-founders. So that's my encouragement to you. Yeah, please reach out, engage, and get your hands dirty.
And I think also, Kate, you just raised your hand. You might have to add something for this, right?
I did. Oh, I did. That was it. But I would say I would echo what Ruben said. I think that finding the right technical co-founding team is really important, and something a very important component to keep close to your project as well.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of the right team, we have 4 portfolio companies with us. Sure, they can also share some insights with you on how they tackle the problem of getting together the right team, because I think especially if you're very early stage, that's so essential. Also, sometimes you don't have the money to pay out, so you're like bootstrapping your company. It's a hard time, so to have the right team is very essential. Maybe you can share your insights as well. That would be very interesting to hear.
Sure, maybe I can chime in on this one. getting the right team is definitely the most important part of the equation. And I think it doesn't just come to technical people, it also comes to people who can then help you out with scaling and with driving revenue. But those ones, typically, you can try to attract later on. That's a very, very difficult and important decision to make. So once you have a technical team running and you've got a product built and you need to bring in someone, from the outside to dive right into it and become an essential part of the company. It's a very, very labor-intensive process. It also depends a lot on trust. But the way you typically build things and build companies, at least in our experience, you always want to start with having a strong technical foundation, making sure that what the market needs and that problem that you're solving, you can actually deliver a solution that's a factor better than what exists out there. And for that, inevitably, you would need either technical co-founders or at least be very adept at hiring highly skilled technical people quickly.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the reply. So I think we are soon running out of time, and there is one last question from Zoom user number 2 this time. So people tend to be anonymous these days. So you don't have to be physically present for the entire program. How we structured is that we have a small component of the 10 weeks, which is in person, because as we heard, for example, also from Vladimir, that the relationships you build between or amongst founders and amongst fellow peers are very important. And also, I mean, also most of you will agree, right, here that throughout your journey, you will face similar hardships, you will have similar problems, and you can support each other through own expertise and learnings. So that's why we have this 1 week, which is in Zug, but maybe we'll also do it maybe in Cape Town next year, because with our global expansion, we have different locations to play with, of course. So that's the only part which is in person, and then there is the rest remote. But last but not least, what we started with last year is to have sort of like a class meetup. So we call it a Friends and Family Day, where we invite each of our portfolio companies to come to Switzerland, right in front in the Casino Zug, it's called. It's like a very beautiful venue. And there we have a day filled with pitches, investor meetups, etc. So that's the second in-person component, which is then coming on a regular basis. So yeah, on that note, I would thank again Ruben, Basti, Kate, Vladimir, Andy, Pasquale, and Martin for joining us and providing their expertise and their knowledge. And again, to the founders out there and everybody listening, we will send out an email after this webinar with some follow-up information. If you would like to get in touch, you will have the information there. And for the entrepreneurs and builders, if you want to join, make sure to get started with the application process, because the deadline is the 31st of December. So you still have, give or take, 15 days. And then we're happy to review your project and answer your questions. So have a good evening and see you soon.